everybody doing again? Welcome back for part 2. Sorry about that memory issue again. I'm waiting for a memory card to come now. Now what I was talking about was how if you live in a colder environment, it might be a good idea to get yourself an engine heater like this, because like I said, when you have these type of motors that have a pinch at the top of the sleeve, it is a good idea to heat them up. Like there's no arguing that there's no way to say that there's no benefit from it. It's like you must be not using your brain if you can even fathom an argument for that. As far as the idling the tanks, that's my personal choice. I like to do that because, you know, like I said, I want my stuff to last, and in my opinion, it's going to make my stuff last longer, so that's what I'm going to do. Now, there's one more thing I wanted to talk about before I start idling more tanks through this, and that is the controller and your idle gap. Now, if you're a novice and you don't know anything about the hobby and stuff, it's easy to make mistakes. But if you have any experience with this stuff, then you should know what you're doing pretty much. Pretty much you shouldn't have to control your idle gap from your remote ever. You should never do that. There's a few reasons why. They're pretty straightforward, common sense reasons why you shouldn't do that. First of all, it's not reliable. If you're using this to set your idle gap, like you probably don't have much experience, and if you say you do have a lot of experience and you're doing that, you don't know what you're doing. Because if you control your idle gap from here, let's say you need to turn your idle up, right? Let's say you started your new nitro up and you need to turn your idle up, and you start using your remote to do it, okay? Now, if you're breaking in your truggy like I was on my first video, and I had just got it started, that's like first time I actually tried to run a tank of gas through it, okay? So I started it up and it didn't want to stay running, so I increased it from the remote. Now that's a novice mistake because, like I said, it's not reliable. So, like, let's say if you was trying to drive it and you didn't make your fine adjustments on your carburetor, and you're driving along, you're pushing the gas, right? Then you go and you push the brakes, your engine's going to shut off. Every time you push the brakes, your engine's going to shut off, and that's not enjoyable. That's like amateur hour, pretty much, because you shouldn't have to adjust it from your remote, pretty much. They give you these trims on here for the steering, to set your steering wheel straight, and for you to be able to adjust your brakes and your carb settings. But your carb settings should be done from the carburetor. Now, that's because you don't want to be driving your stuff around, and every time you go to stop, you're like afraid to hit the brakes because your engine's going to shut off because you don't know how to tune it right, you know? Because that's the reason your engine's shutting off, because you didn't take a screwdriver and adjust the actual idle gap where it should be. Because when you have everything set up right, when you turn this remote on and you turn your car on like that, when you let off the throttle, your carb should be all the way returned, okay? Like it should be bottomed out, so that like it should be bottomed out on the idle gap screw, okay? So what I'm saying is, when you go to get on the gas or you go to push on the brake, it should have nothing to do with how your engine's running or how many RPMs it's running at, or if you push the gas it's going to shut off. It shouldn't have nothing to do with that. You should be able to run your stuff full speed. You should be able to apply full brakes and not worry about your engine shutting off because you have the needles and the gaps right on your truck itself. Now, it's a very simple thing to do. All you have to do is, if your stuff doesn't want to stay running and you have to turn the idle up from the trim, is turn your idle screw up a little by little until it doesn't shut off, and keep turning your trim down so that you know when you're running your stuff and you go to apply brakes, it's not going to shut off, because that's not going to be fun. I'm telling you, you're going to be running around like a freaking chicken with your head cut off going, oh man, it's shutting off again when I'm hitting the brakes. That's not fun, you know, to be running around a field or something and you're on the other side of a field and you go to push the brakes and the thing shuts off because the idle gap ain't open far enough, or your high and low speed needles are messed up and it's idling like crazy going, didn't you like that pinging noise? That pinging is a lean sound, okay? So if it's pinging, it's too lean, okay? That's a common sense thing. I've watched so many videos on tuning, it's unbelievable, okay? So I've watched every video on tuning that I could find on YouTube, okay? So I'm just telling you from watching other people and stuff, like how a good tune should be on your stuff. Like, you should not be relying on your remote trims to keep your stuff running. That's like a novice thing to be doing and showing other people to do. That's like amateur stuff. So I want to show you guys the right way to run your stuff, so that when you get one, or you go outside to run your truck or your buggy or your car or whatever, this applies to everything, that you're not looking like an idiot when you're doing it. You know, you're not like just saying fuck it when you're doing it. You know, I'm sorry for my language, but I see a lot of people just like saying, oh, to hell with it, you know. I don't care, you know, it's whatever. You know, it is a hobby. You know, some people say, oh, they're toys. They're not toys, you know, but for me, I like to be like serious about it when I'm doing it, because to me, like, if I want to keep doing it, I don't want to keep making the same mistakes, doing it over and over and over again, and then going outside and having something that's not fun to mess with. Because if you have it tuned up where the only reason it's running is because you have your trim turned up on your remote, and that's the only thing keeping your buggy running, and you didn't take your screwdriver and adjust your gaps right and stuff, you're not going to have a good day, because you're going to be running around after it every time you push the brakes to start it back up, or you'll be afraid to push the brakes because you don't want the engine to shut off, and that's not, you know, it's not cool. So just those couple things. And like I said, the engine heater, you know, New York is pretty cold in the winter, so like the two things that I have that are new, the truggy and the buggy, every time I run those, they're going to be preheated beforehand, because like I said, it's gonna reduce wear on startup. Like, there's no question about it. It's like changing oil on your car. You know it's good for it, right? You know changing your oil is good for your car. To change your oil every, 3,000, 5,000 miles, whatever you change it, right? So why wouldn't you do it? Just, why wouldn't you do it if you know it's good? Why wouldn't you preheat your motor if you know it's going to reduce the pinch and make it last longer, make it easier for the engine to break in and reduce wear? It's like simple things like that. So just wanted to talk about those couple things, like in my fourth video.